Well, dovetailing with that, you grilled Bernanke a few days ago, and then the chairman, for those who haven't seen the video, it's up on PrisonPlanet.com. Frank agreed with you and said we need an investigation of the admitted, and I went and pulled the articles up, because Bernanke was acting like it was preposterous, but it's on record that BCCI and the Federal Reserve, it's on record in 2004 and 5, tens of billions of dollars from the Federal Reserve shipped on pallets into Iraq. It's on record, Associated Press, that tens of billions of drug money has been found in the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas. That was in 2000. That was in the AP. And then Bernanke just laughs at you and says it doesn't exist. It's like Potok from the Southern Poverty Law Center laughing and saying these Tea Party kooks believe in a world government when you've got every global leader calling for global government, the IMF calling for a new world order, Herman von Rompuy, Ban Ki-moon calling for it. I mean, I think they're really destroying what credibility they had left by stonewalling us. Can you speak specifically to congressional investigations separate from an audit, just directly on, is the Federal Reserve involved in Greece? Well, we know they gave the money to Goldman Sachs, and we know they are involved.
Right. No, and he used the word bizarre, so he was accusing me of being bizarre, which means anybody who agrees with my concerns are considered bizarre as well. And you're right in commenting about what Barney Frank said at the end of my questioning, that we should look into it. And to his credit, he has sent a letter to the chairman, Bernanke, and copied me. And he's insisting that that the Federal Reserve respond to my charges, look into it. He asked Bernanke to contact my office to go over the details of the concerns that I've had, and then report back. So Barney Frank did follow up with it. Interestingly, Barney Frank was involved with Henry Gonzalez, and you know that Henry Gonzalez was against the Federal Reserve and demanded these investigations. And the gentleman that wrote the book from the University of Texas, he worked with Gonzalez, and so he has firsthand information. To call this bizarre and it's off the wall, Arbach was in the Federal Reserve and the Congress on the banking committee for 17 years and was involved in these investigations. And to just write us off and say, I've never heard it. Sort of, when he said that, sort of reminded me about, the debates when the mayor, shouted, and I can't believe this stuff, What are you saying?
It's incredible. We've only got 4 minutes left with Congressman Ron Paul. We appreciate him joining us live today. The New York Times is reporting they may try to revive the carbon tax with a direct tax on fuel at the refinery. Senate trio hopes to hit pay dirt with carbon fee at the oil company's request. Where is the carbon tax going, as well as health care?
Well, it's hard for me to believe they'll do that, even though it's alive and they want to, and that's their goal, and they will if they can. But under these conditions, it is so bad of an idea, it just blows my mind to think that they'll pursue that. So I don't know the details on whether that's going to go through or not, but I can guarantee you there's plenty up here who still believe in it and will pursue it. But I hope they come to their senses and realize how detrimental it would be.
There's a Mary Landrieu quote in here saying, we need to pass this. This is going to help Americans. I mean, how bizarre. More taxes. People are going bankrupt. In closing, Congressman, we've now discovered that an Obama campaign operative has founded a coffee party. I actually had this idea with listeners 2 months ago to get real constitutionalists to take the Tea Parties back from the neocons. Now it turns out Obama picked up this idea, and that his campaign operatives are now getting all this media attention to tell us to love our federal government, that it's our federal government. I mean, that shows how powerful the Tea Parties are, if not just the Republican establishment, but now the Democrats are flooding in trying to pose as patriots.
Yeah. Yeah, they want us to love the government. How about loving our country and understanding what freedom is all about? But the battle is outside. I mean, one thing is they're starting to recognize that the battle may be outside of the conventional wisdom of Republicans and Democrats that run Washington, and actually the discussion going on in the independent Tea Party type movement. And there's no reason to think that everybody is going to believe the right thing and get together and do the right thing in those who are objecting. But anybody who's involved better realize that if a significant movement, erupts like the Tea Party movement, there will be plenty left and right, and everybody else who has a special interest will want to get in and try to control it.
Well, to see the establishment trying to pose as anti-establishment is truly sickening. but I mean, look at your 84% approval rating. People know the real McCoy. 1 minute left. The economy. A lot of top economists are now agreeing with you and others that we may have a mega depression in the next 16 months, and they're positioning the IMF and World Bank with a new global constitution where they will pose as saviors again. How concerned are you that this recession could get a lot worse?
Well, I think it is going to get a lot worse, and what is happening now is Wall Street's recovered and a few companies have recovered, but the unemployment rate is still very high and getting worse. And there will be plans. I'm sure they've been talking about it for quite a few years, because those who run the international banking system know that they're in trouble, so they are laying plans for this. But people do ask me about, well, do you think this will bring on the North American Union and North American currency? And I really don't think so. I think the bigger concern should be a worldwide currency, and the IMF and the United Nations grabbing hold and trying to dictate to us. But we have economic laws on our side, because you can propose these things, and even if it does serve the special interest, if it violates economic law, it won't work. So they can't maintain a good currency. And that's why I think the European Union is very, very fragile. Not only the euro, but the union as well, because it's artificial. And I think that's what would happen on a world government and a world currency. But in the meantime, it could get pretty messy, and they're going to work very hard to get organized, which means they'll work hard to undermine our personal liberties.
Congressman, we're going to let you go. In closing, I just want to say no one in Congress that I've ever studied works as hard as you, does as much media, writes as much legislation. You are a champion. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Got to go.
Take care. There he goes to run to his vote. Absolutely amazing. I mean, that guy is on TV about 10 times a day, does about 10 radio interviews. I've talked to his press people. Folks, I do 4 hours a day and do 2 or 3 interviews a day, and I'm constantly turning them down because at 36 years old, I mean, I'm exhausted. And that guy's 74 years old and just works so hard. And I'm just honored that I've been interviewing him since 1996 and that he has never changed, never flip-flopped. He's absolutely amazing. Congressman Ron Paul, 80% of the vote in the Texas primary, unheard of, 84% approval rating in polls. Ron Paul. But, he's a kook. It's outrageous that the Federal Reserve's involved in bailouts or money laundering. And Bernanke will get up there and say, we've made all the money public. And then they say, okay, make this public. Well, we're not going to make that public. They think viewers on TV are so stupid. They get up in front of the Congress and lie in front of everyone. Unbelievable.